You drop it on areas of conflict, and all the guys and girls in government throw down their guns. They hug each other. One says, "I'm really sorry," and the other one says, "Oh no, it was my fault. I'm sorry, it's my fault." Back and forth, until one of them says, "Don't you think we ought to clean this place up? Let's work on human rights, education, healthcare, and an end to world poverty." So if any of you out there got leftover estrogen pills, send them to the government of your choice.
Recently, we finished a street project about the hatred of and violence against women. And it appeared on the streets of Montreal, Canada, on the 20th anniversary of their worst mass murder ever, when a guy named Marc Lépine, claiming he was fighting feminism, killed 14 women studying engineering at the École Polytechnique. Our poster was we made our own kind of graffiti wall of sexist hate speech through the ages, from Plato to Confucius, who said 100 women are not worth a single testicle, to Pat Robertson, who said, "Feminism is a socialist anti-family movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians." It struck us that it's totally okay in society to publicly say things about women that wouldn't be tolerated if said about any other group.
You know, we love doing posters and billboards, the kind of one-shot, one-image, attack. But over time, we really wanted to go a little bit deeper and to explore some of the underlying causes of discrimination. So first we wrote our very own art history book, The Guerrilla Girl's Bedside Companion to the History of Western Art. We wanted to offer an alternative to these usual textbooks, and of course we took the liberty of changing the titles to more accurately reflect their content, because we wanted to discuss the lives of women artists in every period of art history. We realized that old question, why have there been no great women artists, wasn't really the most interesting question. The real question is, what happened to all the great women artists in history? Because despite all the obstacles that were set up to keep women from becoming artists, they couldn't operate ateliers, they couldn't sign contracts, they couldn't accept commissions, they couldn't join academies, they couldn't join guilds, they couldn't paint from the nude. In many cases, they weren't even allowed to learn to read or write. Despite all of those obstacles that were set up to make the playing field not level at all, in every period of Western art history, there were courageous and adventuresome women who were able to get around those obstacles and live very productive, in many cases successful lives as women artists. We wanted to tell their story. For example, how did a woman become an artist in the Middle Ages? Well, the Bayeux Tapestry, which was stitched by nuns in the Kentish section of England, were absolutely productive. They produced one of the most significant artworks of the Middle Ages. It kind of makes that Shakespearean command, "Get thee to a nunnery," kind of a feminist plea.
So the more we thought about the situation of women artists, the more it boiled down to the way women are stereotyped. So just for laughs, we started a list of female stereotypes, and it got so long that we knew we were onto something. Bitches, Bimbos, and Ball Breakers, the Guerrilla Girls Illustrated Guide to Female Stereotypes. Because whatever life a woman leads, from society girl to biker chick, there's a stereotype she has to live up to or live down.
Now, in the book, we begin with the top 10 types, the stereotypes that follow a girl from cradle to grave, starting out with daddy's little girl, going all the way up to old hag. Then we explore sexual stereotypes, occupational stereotypes, real and fictional women who became stereotypes, and perhaps the cruelest stereotypes of all, the ethnic and religious stereotypes. Tonight we're going to present a few highlights to you.
Starting with bitch. When a man gives his opinion, he's a man. When a woman gives her opinion, she's a bitch.
Now, you discover all sorts of really significant distinctions when you study stereotypes. And one important distinction we discovered when we were investigating the bitch stereotype is that very important distinction between a bitch and a slut. Now, everyone knows that a slut is someone who sleeps with everyone. But a bitch is someone who sleeps with everyone but you. Any woman who succeeds at anything is going to be called a bitch. Tyra Banks? Bitch. Hillary Clinton? Bitch. Dixie Chicks? Bitches. The list goes on and on. Since we can't avoid it, why don't we just embrace it? So Gorilla Girls say, bitches of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your stereotype.
Which brings us to the next one. Bimbos and dumb blondes. Bimbos prove the tiresome sexist assumption that women can have both beauty and brains. All blondes aren't dumb, but some of them do act out the stereotype to be attractive, sexy, or to make money. Now, in our book, we have a dumb blonde joke. And we know these are politically incorrect, but we think of this as kind of a feminist dumb blonde joke. Frida, will you tell it who you are?
A blonde guy goes into a bar and he orders a drink and he says to the bartender, hey, you want to hear a blonde joke? And all of a sudden, the bar becomes absolutely silent. Then, in a deep, husky voice, the woman sitting next to him says, before you tell that joke, mister, there's something you ought to know. The bartender's blonde, the bouncer's blonde, and me, I'm a 6-foot-tall, 200-pound blonde with a black belt in karate. What's more, the lady sitting next to me is a blonde, and she's a weightlifter, and the lady to your right is a blonde, and she's a pro wrestler. Think about it seriously, mister. You still want to tell that joke? The blind guy scratches his head, and he thinks a minute, and then he says, nah, not if I'm going to have to explain it 5 times.
Okay, that brings us to another bimbo stereotype, which is Barbie. Now, before Barbie became the idol of little girls, she was a prostitute. This is true. There's a Barbie for every event in a girl's life, well, maybe not quite yet, knocked up Barbie, strung out Barbie, or bulimic Barbie.
But the world's best-selling doll has something in her past that she doesn't want you to know about. Barbie actually started out her life as a Teutonic cartoon hooker named Lily, who slept her way into the hearts of men all over Germany in the 1950s. Then she was made into a jokey gift doll right here, specifically for men, complete with sexy interchangeable clothes, and Lily was purchased in a tobacco store. So it was actually guys who first took off her underwear and put it back on again. Now, Ruth Handler, who was the owner of Mattel's, was long looking for a doll that she could market to adolescent girls in America, and she discovered Lily on a trip to Europe. She saw gold in that. She quickly bought up the rights to Lily. She had to clean up Lily a little bit. She had to shave off Lily's really prominent pointy nipples. She renamed her Barbie after a family member, and of course the rest is doll history. Now, a lot of stereotypes also contain a grain of truth, and in some cases more than a grain of truth. For example, that stereotype about lesbians in the military? Well, there have always been lesbians in the armed forces. Why? It was one of the first places where gay women could create a society all their own.
He asked, she told. During World War II, General Dwight D. Eisenhower asked Sergeant Johnny Phelps, and here is Sergeant Phelps, to root out the lesbians in her company of the Women's Army Corps. Sergeant Phelps answered, "Yes, sir, if the general pleases. I will be happy to do the investigation, sir. But, sir, it would be unfair of me not to tell you my name is going to head the list. You should also be aware, sir, that you're going to have to replace all the file clerks, the section heads, most of the commanders, and the entire motor pool." Eisenhower's response, "Sergeant, forget the order."
Now, there are real women who became stereotypes like Florence Nightingale, Carmen Miranda, Tokyo Rose, and there have also been fictional women who become stereotypes like Aunt Jemima and Lolita.
Now, Vladimir Nabokov's novel Lolita is the story of a man named Humbert Humbert and his sexual obsession with his 12-year-old stepdaughter Lolita. Now, we think it's really curious that Lolita is the stereotype that grew from this book, based on grown men's fantasies that teenage girls want them, when we think it should have been Humbert, the creepy pedophile. We could use a Humbert stereotype to help young girls and boys identify dangerous grown-ups, but instead we have ingrained in society Lolita, one more sex-crazed girl who's gotta have it.
Now, we recently finished a new book about the female body and how it's been treated and mistreated throughout the ages, and only a few people have seen it. And we're really excited to present it to you tonight. And it also gives us a chance to sing a little bit. Here it is, The Hysterical History of Hysteria and How It Was Cured from Ancient Times Until Now.
Okay, here comes the singing part. Still crazy after all these years. Once upon a time, women in Europe and America suffered from a terrible disease called hysteria. Its symptoms were nervousness, fatigue, anxiety, insomnia, faintness, muscle spasms, shortness of breath, irritability, headaches, heaviness of the abdomen, fluid retention, lack of concentration, depression, loss of appetite for food or sex, ticklishness, and making trouble. Doctors claim that 2 out of every 3 women suffered from this awful affliction.
No one knew what caused hysteria, but great men of science decided that it had to have something to do with women's mysterious sexual organs.